All right, gotta love earnings season, right? It's always a roller coaster. And today we're strapping in for a deep dive into Align Technology's Q3 2024 earnings call.
Invisalign, baby. Always a fascinating company to watch.
I've got the transcript, the stock movements, some fresh news articles, the whole shebang.
Think of us as your cheat sheet to understanding exactly where Align stands at this very moment.
And let's just say the market didn't exactly pop champagne after this one. Align stock, that's NASDAQ, GN, closed down today. Revenue missed estimates, which honestly...
Yeah, not a huge shock given all the chatter about a slowdown in the dental market, especially here in the U.S.
Slowdown might be putting it mildly from what we're seeing. But hey, here's where things get interesting. There are some seriously intriguing developments and strategic shifts that we definitely need to unpack.
It's a real mixed bag this Q3. So revenue is technically up year over year, but we're talking a tiny, tiny increase. And it definitely fell short of what those analysts were predicting.
Yeah, that weaker U.S. market is a drag, no doubt. But internationally, things are looking pretty rosy, especially over in China.
That's a biggie for sure. International growth, particularly in China, is booming for Align. Helps to offset some of that softness we're seeing here in the States. We'll dig into that a bit later.
Absolutely. Another piece of the puzzle here, and it's a positive one, is the strong growth in their systems and services segment.
Right. Think iTero scanners. Those are doing really well, which bodes well for Align's overall digital dentistry strategy.
So, yes, not all doom and gloom. But let's be real. We got to address the macroeconomic elephant in the room. Align CEO specifically called out low consumer confidence in the U.S. as a major factor impacting their performance.
Basically, wants versus wallets. People want that straight-teeth smile, they want the treatment, but in this economic climate, a lot of folks hitting the pause button on that financial commitment.
And it's understandable, right? It's not cheap.
Yeah.
And it's not viewed as, like, essential healthcare in the same way a root canal might be.
Exactly. And this hesitancy is hitting both orthodontists and the general dentists who are offering Invisalign. Fewer patients mean fewer cases, which obviously impacts Align's bottom line.
Which is a shame because Align has some really cool stuff happening on the tech side. Their new iTero Lumina scanner. Game changer.
The cool thing about Lumina is it's not just a minor upgrade. It's a full-on leap forward in scanning technology. Smaller, faster, way more accurate. Doctors are raving about it.
And hold on to your hats, folks, because we got some big news during this call. Restorative software for Lumina is launching in Q1 2025.
Now that's a big deal. Opens up a whole new market for Align. It lets them move beyond just orthodontics and into the wider world of dental restorations. Yeah. Crowns, bridges, the possibilities are kind of endless.
Talk about expanding your horizons. And speaking of shaking things up, Align's also making massive investments in direct 3D printing for their aligners. This is a huge shift in their manufacturing process.
Bold move, for sure. And it has the potential to, totally revolutionize the entire industry. Imagine. Customize aligners, printed on demand, right there in the dentist's office. No more waiting for shipments.
It's like the ultimate personalized dentistry experience. But of course, there's a catch. Scaling this new tech takes time. We're talking a solid 2 to 3 years before it's fully operational.
And that timeline comes with a price tag. This investment in 3D printing is going to, at least in the short term, impact Align's margins.
It's that classic short-term pain for long-term gain situation, right? But to navigate this transition effectively, Align is restructuring, streamlining their operations, really focusing on those key growth areas.
Putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. This restructuring involves eliminating around 700 positions. That's double the number of positions cut during last year's restructuring.
Yeah, job losses are never easy to see, but this does signal that Align is serious about adapting, right? About positioning itself for a brighter future.
And to help them achieve that, they're bringing back a familiar face. Frank Quinn. Seasoned vet in the digital dentistry world, coming back to lead Align's sales and marketing efforts.
So why bring Frank back, and why now? Well, his deep understanding of what doctors need is seen as absolutely crucial in this tricky economic environment. He's the right person at the right time. It's all about building those strong relationships, making sure doctors have the tools and support they need to thrive. So we've talked financials, the macroeconomic climate, major tech investments, but what about their core customer base?
Teens. Internationally, that teen Invisalign market is on fire. Align has a really strong product portfolio geared towards younger patients, and it's paying off, especially in China.
Seems like those international teens are all about that clear aligner life. But here in the U.S., it's a bit more complicated. Teen treatment is slowing down, orthodontists are feeling the pinch, And some are, well, they're kind of defaulting back to traditional braces, way to maintain profitability.
It's tough. Braces are often seen as the more budget-friendly option, especially when parents are hesitant to shell out big bucks for orthodontic treatment in this kind of economy.
Makes sense from a business perspective, but it does feel like a step back for Align, given their whole focus on clear aligners as the future of orthodontics.
It really highlights that tension, between innovation and affordability, something that Align is trying to address with those long-term investments, like 3D printing.
Walking a tightrope, for sure. Managing those short-term economic pressures while pouring resources into innovations that could totally reshape the industry.
And all of this is happening against a backdrop of a sluggish U.S. market and some pretty fierce competition. Fascinating time to be watching Align, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's quickly recap those key takeaways. Align's Q3 results. Bit of a mixed bag.
Revenue up slightly year over year, but yeah, still missing those all-important estimates.
International markets, especially China, are shining bright. Strong growth there. But here at home,
Those macroeconomic headwinds are a definite factor. Low consumer confidence in the U.S. is weighing heavily on Align's performance.
people want that straighter smile. But that financial commitment is a tougher pill to swallow in this shaky economic climate.
But there's more to the story, right? Align's making strategic moves. That new iTero Lumina scanner.
Total game changer. And that upcoming restorative software just expands its potential even further.
And don't forget about that big bet on direct 3D printing for aligners. Bold move that could, revolutionize the industry down the line. It'll take time to fully scale up, though.
To steer the ship, so to speak, Align's restructuring, streamlining operations. Unfortunately, that means around 700 positions are being eliminated.
And they're bringing back a seasoned pro, Frank Quinn, to lead those sales and marketing efforts. Back for more Align talk.
Round two, picking up where we left off. Align's strategic priorities, their grand vision for the future of digital orthodontics.
They're in a fascinating spot, wouldn't you say? Facing some real roadblocks short-term, but with a long-term vision that's, incredibly ambitious.
It's like they're trying to, build a rocket ship while simultaneously keeping a sailboat from capsizing.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that metaphor got a little away from me.
I kind of like it, but yeah, it's a delicate balancing act for sure. So let's look under the hood here. One key takeaway from this earnings call is that Align is laser focused on innovation. They see technology as the master key to unlocking future growth, both here in the U.S. and globally.
Yeah, and they're not just talking the talk, right? They're walking the walk.
Yeah.
These investments in 3D printing, the Lumina scanner, that 5-minute ClinCheck, we're talking some serious commitments.
Exactly. They're betting big, even if it means a little short-term pain in the margins. They're banking on these innovations ultimately leading to greater efficiency, lower costs, a better overall experience for both the doctors and the patients.
It's about playing the long game, no doubt. But let's zoom in on 3D printing for a sec. What are some of the potential upsides of this technology, from Align's perspective?
Well, imagine being able to print aligners on demand, right there in the dentist's office. Eliminate shipping costs, cuts down those lead times, opens the door to even greater levels of customization.
It's like having a mini aligner factory in every dental practice.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty futuristic to me.
It does, doesn't it? It also gives Align much more control over their entire manufacturing process, could potentially lead to juicier margins once it's all scaled up. And hey, let's not forget about the sustainability angle, right? Less transportation, smaller carbon footprint.
Good point. So potentially more profitable and environmentally friendly. I like where this is going.
Of course. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Any new tech worth its salt comes with its own set of challenges. Scaling up 3D printing to meet Align's massive demand, that's going to be a huge undertaking. It requires hefty upfront investment, ongoing refinement of the whole process.
They're basically reinventing the wheel, right? When it comes to making aligners. It's not a quick fix. It's a long-term commitment. And as we heard during the call, Align expects this whole transition to take at least 2 to 3 years, which brings us back to those short-term pressures they're facing. The U.S. market, it's not exactly a walk in the park right now, driven by all those macroeconomic factors we talked about earlier. Low consumer confidence, economic uncertainty, people tightening their belts. It all adds up.
Yeah, a real tightrope walk. They need to find a way to maintain profitability in the here and now while making those crucial investments for the future.
And that's where the return of Frank Quinn comes in, right?
Yeah.
He's got the experience, the connections to navigate this stormy sea.
Exactly. Align's counting on Frank to really deepen those relationships with doctors, make sure they feel supported, clearly communicate the value of Align's technology, those game-changing innovations, and ultimately drive growth, even in this tough market.
No pressure, Frank. Speaking of growth, let's circle back to China for a minute. That market seems to be a real bright spot for Align, even as the U.S. market, sputters.
What's interesting about China is it's not just about the sheer size of the market, although with their massive population, that's certainly a factor. It's also about this cultural embrace of orthodontics, particularly amongst those younger generations.
Almost becoming a status symbol, right? Having that straight, perfect smile. It's seen as a sign of success, sophistication.
Exactly. And Align is strategically tapping into that trend. Their teen products are doing exceptionally well in China. They're also expanding their network of doctors, building brand awareness through, some savvy marketing and educational initiatives.
Smart strategy for sure. Get in early, establish yourself as the leader, ride the wave of that growing demand.
And you can't underestimate the power of social media in China, right? It's a driving force behind so many consumer trends. Align's leveraging popular platforms like WeChat and Weibo to connect with potential patients directly.
So they've got a multi-pronged approach in place, investing heavily in technology, nurturing those relationships with doctors, connecting with consumers through targeted marketing, social media.
It's all geared toward achieving that big, ambitious, long-term goal, establishing Align as the undisputed global leader in digital orthodontics.
Now, let's not sugarcoat things. The road ahead for Align is, it's going to have its bumps. They're facing some real challenges in the near term.
Can they successfully scale up their 3D printing technology? How will they navigate those margin pressures in the short term? Can they regain momentum in the U.S. market as the economy, fingers crossed, starts to recover? These are all, million-dollar questions.
Million-dollar questions indeed. Their success hinges on a few key factors: their ability to execute that strategy, the pace of technological innovation, and of course the ever unpredictable whims of the economy.
It's a high-stakes game, and we'll definitely be watching it closely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part. We looked at Align's strategic priorities, their laser focus on innovation, the potential of 3D printing, the challenges they're facing in the U.S. market, the growth opportunities in China. But there's more to come. In Part 3, we'll delve into some of the broader implications of Align's strategy, explore what it all means for investors. Stick around. It's about to get interesting. All right, final round, Part 3 of our Align Technology Deep Dive.
And in this last part, we're kind of shifting gears from the what to the so what. What does Align's current strategy, their recent performance, tell us about the bigger picture, the future of digital dentistry as a whole?
That's the question, isn't it? It's Align's the undisputed leader in this space, so they're often a kind of a bellwether for where the whole industry's headed.
Exactly. So if Align's feeling the pinch, does that mean the whole digital dentistry sector is in trouble?
That's what a lot of people are wondering.
Well, it's not quite that simple. Remember, Align's grappling with a unique set of challenges, especially here in the U.S. market.
Right, that whole low consumer confidence, economic uncertainty thing.
Yeah.
People putting off those big ticket purchases. And for a lot of folks, orthodontic treatment falls right into that category.
Exactly. So while Align's results might reflect some broader economic headwinds, things that are buffeting the entire industry, it doesn't necessarily mean demand for digital dentistry is drying up.
In fact, if you look globally, the demand for aesthetic dentistry, including orthodontic treatment, is actually it's on a steady upward trajectory.
That's a key point. As incomes rise in developing countries and as more and more people become aware of the benefits of orthodontic treatment, we're seeing a real surge in folks seeking out solutions like Invisalign.
It's becoming more mainstream, less of a niche luxury item.
Exactly. And Align is, they're perfectly positioned to capitalize on this global trend. Their success in China and other international markets proves that.
But let's zoom back in on the U.S. for a sec. If consumer spending is the main culprit here, doesn't that put Align in a tough spot? I mean, Invisalign's not exactly known for being the most affordable option out there.
That's the paradox Align's wrestling with. They've built their reputation on premium products, cutting-edge technology, and that comes at a price.
They're kind of like the Apple of the orthodontic world.
Perfect analogy. But they are making moves to address this affordability challenge. Remember that big investment in 3D printing we talked about?
Yeah, that seems to be a cornerstone of their long-term strategy.
And here's where it gets really interesting. 3D printing could actually be the key to making Invisalign more affordable down the line.
Wait, really? How so?
Think about it. By streamlining their manufacturing process, reducing material costs, and potentially even enabling, on-demand production right there in the dentist's office, 3D printing has the potential to significantly lower the cost of producing those aligners.
And then, theoretically, those savings could be passed along to the consumers, making Invisalign accessible to a wider market.
Exactly. It's a bold bet, and one that could really, reshape the playing field for the entire orthodontic industry.
It's like they're trying to disrupt themselves before somebody else comes along and does it for them. So Align's betting big on innovation to drive down costs, increase accessibility.
But what about the doctors using their products? How are they supporting their customers in this challenging environment?
Well, they're definitely aware of the pressures that orthodontists, general dentists are facing. Fewer patients, tighter margins, the constant need to invest in new technology. It's a lot.
Yeah, tough time to be in the dental business, that's for sure.
Which is why Align is focusing on becoming more than just a product provider. They're offering comprehensive support to their customers, including training programs, marketing resources, practice management tools, the whole 9 yards.
It's almost like they're transforming into a one-stop shop for everything digital dentistry. That's a great way to put it. They want to be that trusted partner, the one that helps doctors navigate the complexities of the industry and build thriving, successful practices.
And bringing Frank Quinn back into the fold is a big part of that strategy.
Absolutely. His deep understanding of the dental world, combined with his sales and marketing expertise, makes him the perfect person to lead the charge.
It all boils down to relationships, right?
Right.
Really understanding the needs of the doctors and providing them with the solutions they need to grow their businesses.
So to kind of wrap it all up, Align is, well, they're walking a tightrope. They're managing those short-term economic pressures while also investing heavily in long-term innovation.
It's a classic case of disrupt or be disrupted, right?
Right.
They're not content to just sit back and rest on their laurels. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in digital dentistry.
And their success or failure will have a real ripple effect throughout the whole industry, shaping the future of how people get orthodontic treatment.
All right, so before we sign off, let's distill all this down into a few key takeaways for our listeners. What should they be thinking about after tuning in to this deep dive?
First and foremost, the demand for aesthetic dentistry, including orthodontic treatment, is on the rise globally. That's a huge opportunity for companies like Align, even with the current economic headwinds we're seeing in certain markets.
Second, technology is going to continue to be a major disruptor in the dental industry. Align's big investments in 3D printing and other cutting-edge innovations, those are just a glimpse of what's to come. It's a space worth watching, for sure.
And finally, never underestimate the power of the doctor-patient relationship. Align's focus on supporting their customers, the doctors, is a really smart move. Building those strong relationships, providing valuable resources, will be absolutely essential for success in this increasingly competitive market.
So there you have it. Align Technologies' Q3 earnings call gave us a fascinating look into the current state, the future direction of the digital dentistry industry. They're facing some real challenges, but they're also making bold moves, placing some big bets on innovation. The next few years will be crucial for Align as they navigate this transition and fight to maintain their position as the leader in a rapidly evolving market.
We'll be watching closely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Align technology. Until next time.